Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer1745 here, and if you're new here, I hope this will get you to press the to smash the subscribe button. And everyone, I hope you can lick the like button. They tell me that for each video the like button tastes a bit different, so you might want to try out and see how this one tastes. But let's continue here. Let's see if we can get to the war someday. I don't know how. Okay, joint industrial policy. Okay, Kingdom Nepal. Oh yeah, Nepal has industry. What? Okay, radio detection. Good. That'll make it worthwhile eventually here to produce. That was this one to produce radars. Okay. Signals intelligence. Okay. Radar stations. Okay. Just looking at, they got a lot of neat technologies here. Infantry radios. There'll be a lot of infantry radios needed. Yeah, let's do this. We want things to be needed. We want radios. I don't know the infantry radios. We're gonna have to build probably. Okay, it doesn't just get covered by support equipment. How unhappy. Look, you don't lick the like button? Okay, I thought I was being super duper clever. You mean all I'm doing is alienating my viewers? Okay, yes, we will get this infantry division. Got a little bit of political power. Let's, again, I've been avoiding motorizing just because I don't have that much motorization. But we were going to get some more boost, 5%, and that would turn me into a positive military production. I don't know. Okay, improved mortars, very good. Okay, let's come over here because we like to do these types of things when and where we can. Okay, we're doing that. This will reduce the currently fuel usage by, okay, we have current daily consumption is 1.5K of fuel. Military does 147, and civilian does 1.3K. So overwhelming our civilian economy uses up our oil. This will reduce, although it reduced civilian factory construction speed, which I believe we've stopped now, and I don't know if we're going to do any more. We might do more, down by 2%, but it will reduce fuel consumption by 10%. So that will be a massive help. And so they're getting that very right, in my opinion. Okay, so, well, these I've been told, so I like to sometimes know the definition. Each one of these transport planes, I guess, is supposed to equal 4, where all the other planes just equal 1 plane. So 8 a year is really, 36 a year, actual planes, but Yeah, I think I can make more than 36 with one production line, but again, I don't know. We're going to add one more just to, if we're going to have this. Now we're going to be doing a little more than the one a month, and then of course this will get better as time goes on, speed wise. But keep that going. Have a decent amount, whether for air supply or okay, we have a new mortar. I think it's a replacement for what there. So yeah, I think we will upgrade our mortars to better production. So okay, a little bit of a hit there. I don't think we've got the Kubelwagen yet. No, we got this thing. We're going to wait for the Kubelwagen. Just not sure what this benefits over that, but once we get that on this, we're waiting, I think, for one more level of 110 or 111s. Yeah, one more level up, and we're gonna skip that one. We're gonna leave that one, current one, in a prototype stage. We'll make the prototype, get it working, know that it works, great, improve it before we start putting it in production. Medical research, very good. These will be very useful as the war really gets going. Monthly population, good. Chance of getting sick, monthly population base, good. Now, once we get down into 40 here, which we won't have a lot to do until we get down there, but once we do, trickle back and other things will be really helped out. So we're base stability 10%. Okay, that will be good. We will do this. That will help our stability once we get it achieved. Okay, lessons from the Spanish campaign, very good. So that we're nowhere near alliance with Spain at the moment. First Vienna Award, 16 days. There's so many I want to do, and some definitely I want to do now, but others I don't mind waiting. But some of them it's better to do early so you get their proper bonuses, but still we can only do so much. Military factory, yeah, it's 35 days. Yeah. What I think we should do here is I want to do, before I do the Vienna Awards, I want to do alliance with Italy. It's 56 days, does take a lot, but time, but we need to do this. So let's get this done. It took a long time for the alliance to develop. I mean, it took, in 1936, in early 1936, in the first 2 or 3 months, I think it is, Mussolini forms an anti-German and anti-Hitler alliance with Austria and Hungary. They call it the Three Powers Pact. It was signed in Vienna, I believe. The other guys were just foreign ministers, but Mussolini was there. And this was set up as something to stop Germany from attacking Austria with, Hungarian support and that. So that is a very hostile opinion. Earlier on, when Hitler comes to power, he's trying to get meetings with Mussolini. Mussolini, who's this little chancellor of Germany, I'm the, dictator of Italy, and who cares about this nobody and who's gotten into power in Germany. So there's very much a, dislike there, dislike. And it really isn't until 38 that Hitler gets into good enough graces with Italy, and it's progressive. It's not just 38. I mean, it's progressing over time since then, and really gets big over this, is that Italy's allies are, becoming anti-Italian over Ethiopia. Mussolini just doesn't understand that particularly, because hey, these aren't their territories. We're just gobbling up the rest of Africa. You've already got your parts. I just want this other little part of Africa at that point. So he doesn't understand it really as to why they're anti him moving into Ethiopia. That pushes him into Hitler's orbit, but it takes time. So yeah, it takes like 2 years to where that Mussolini is finally comfortable enough to not object to sharing a border with Germany, because he's worried about the Tyrol. Is Hitler going to claim that back? Want that back? He's worried about, is Hitler going to want to claim Trieste and that sort of region back? What's Hitler going to want from us? And even, if there's, World War I Part 2, and if they decide to go on the other side, well, this is where the battle was fought, and now they're on the, downward sides of the mountains instead of rushing to, into the Brenner Pass here to, come up and defend on the far side of the hills kind of thing. It takes 2 years. So I don't begrudge the time. It just it wasn't all in one block of time. Hey, Niagara, how you doing? Italy's Reggio Marino will get destroyed if called into war before France falls. I can imagine that to be the case, and I hope to not call them before that. So yeah, I'm going to try to keep Italy out of the war until I am ready to. Germans sending Ethiopia weapons didn't help. Yeah, that didn't help either. But unlike the League of Nations, Germany did not stop trade with Italy, so that is a thing. Well, Niagara, the reason I put that there is, and hello anybody out over on Rumble, I see there's maybe 10 watching right now, is that the current, my understanding, the current terms of service for Twitch is you can no longer multicast to different services, even if you're not an affiliate or a partner, which I've never been either one of those. So what I'm doing, at least according to the current terms of service, is something that would get me banned. I don't. I do care, but I'm going to keep multicasting to different services, and I'm trying to encourage those that mainly watch me over on Twitch. So to make sure that they scroll down, because there's a link there to my YouTube channel to subscribe over there. Again, it's free. And you can also check out my there's a link to the Discord channel that still should be good, I believe, there. Join there so that I may not be on Twitch at any moment. Now, I don't know if they're going to enforce it. I don't know that they even really notice my channel is in size, meaning if they really, if they even have a mechanism to figure out what I'm doing is inappropriate for the terms of service, and if they really care, because I'm a micro channel for them. But yeah, what I'm doing now is now forbidden. Now, they may walk this back as they walked other policies back in the last few days that they added, but we will see. So I'm just trying to encourage everybody there to make sure. Oh, Twitch is killing itself. Absolutely. You can see a bunch of videos. And yes, barbecue with your girlfriend. Sounds fun. When France reaches a certain surrender progress, Italy will ask to join. We are wasting 56 days on a focus which will be bypassed. Well, maybe I am. I don't know exactly. I don't know if you know if that's exactly what it's going to be with Black Ice or not. But yeah, so yeah, in my opinion, what Twitch is doing is killing itself. And it won't actually fully die, but it'll become irrelevant, in my opinion, if it keeps this up. It'll be just a minor thing. I mean, Kick, which probably most of you haven't heard of, which is a Twitch clone, which actually uses Twitch software because Amazon licenses out the Twitch software for other companies to use, and that's what Kick is using. Is using that software. Probably haven't heard of, or something, which is really a currently irrelevant service as well, but may become more relevant as people abandon Twitch, and then more people will come over to YouTube, and yeah, there we go. We'll do that. Come over to YouTube, and people will go to Rumble, because Rumble has less restrictive policies than YouTube or Twitch on everything except quote unquote adult, material of whatever. I mean, they're more free speech in politics and that kind of thing. Because I went to TwitchCon shortly after really actually starting to get aggressive with this stuff. And I went there for a couple of days because it was really close to me where it was done. And I went and I got the full sort of, the more expensive package to go to the seminars and not just to go to the where all the, fanboys and girls, to see their latest creator and whatnot. I didn't know who any of these people were. That didn't matter. But they had a lot of seminars, a lot of them, some of them done by the creators, others done by the Twitch devs. And they talked a lot about, well, Twitch is going to be a safe space. It's a safe space. You can, have a safe space. And I, in my naivete, I knew if I was, going to be some radical National Socialist broadcaster or something, I would get banned. And I knew they would do that. But in my naivete, I thought, well, so long as I'm not, a neo-Nazi or something, on my channel, and so long as on my channel I wasn't talking about some other channel, that might send people to go harass some other channel, so long as I was doing my own thing, it was a safe space. And, and they talked about no harassment. So yeah, if I was like sending people to go, and talking about some other streamer, and then some of my viewers are going and harassing them, or if I was going into somebody else's chat, somebody else's stream and being what even I might consider in real life appropriate, but confrontational to their stream. They're spouting out communism. I'm saying why communism is bad. Yeah, I understand that. Okay, you're giving them the safe space to spew their stuff and their, whatever ideologies. But I thought I could say, within a reasonable, no. If you're basically, and I think if they halfway paid attention to somebody like me and that I'm as, MAGA as I am, I'm not super MAGA or whatever. I don't know. Maybe they would consider me that. But whatever you would want to, quote unquote, consider, however they would want to term my policies are, they would ban me if they really noticed me. And so I misunderstood what they were saying because I thought they were speaking English. No, they were speaking neo-speak or new-speak or whatever when they were talking about Twitch as a safe space and that we're keeping people like me off the service. And, I knew they were lefties and I didn't, if they run the company the way they want to, but I thought they would let me, have, this is America, freedom, within reason, not complete freedom of speech, but within reason I could do my own thing. But yeah, so I've always sort of realized that if I ever got too noticed, however that means over on Twitch, they would ban me. Just because, yes, I talk about Nazis and Hitler a lot. Not that I approve, I entirely disapprove, but just, they don't like talking about history over there. So, yeah, and now this other stuff that they're killing it. But if they had stayed a little bit, again, I can understand them not having one creator, trash other creators, and there's lots of creator on creator drama, and I get all that, and I get refereeing between some of those things. I really do. But what they push for is just too much. Let's see. Twitch has been going more and more progressively woke. Yeah. But I met and I actually personally talked to a few of these Twitch devs at the time. Now, this was 3 or 4 years ago now, so I don't know if they're still working there, and they fired a bunch of people and other people left just to go to other jobs. So I don't know if any of the people that I talked to and whatnot. So yeah, and I didn't talk to them about politics. I was just asking some questions about how their thing was running and whatnot. So I met some of the people that were structurally building Twitch out. But and again, I wasn't there to proselytize or give them my political opinions. I was just there to learn about being a streamer, whether on Twitch or any place else, YouTube. And after going through that TwitchCon, I learned very much that I do not want to be quote unquote a streamer, because to them at least, a streamer is somebody who streams like 8 hours a day, and they very much push that. You need to build an audience. You need to get streaming. It's not like once a week. No, you need to be daily. And for not just an hour or two a day, maybe you don't have to be 8 hours a day, but you better think about 6 hours a day, and you're going to build this up, and you got to do. And I'm just sitting there going, yeah, you could pay me enough to do that. I mean, would not be a terrible job, and it would definitely be better than my last job to work 8 hours streaming to you guys on Twitch. But so far, the money that I make on Twitch is very, very little. And it's nowhere, even if I did, and I don't think I'd ever be a big star there just because I don't meet the demographics. But I think of myself as a YouTuber, or, you know, as a person who produces videos that sometimes streams. And I really love the interaction of not just making a video and putting it up there and then, you know, having you send messages back. I love this interaction that we have here live. So, but that's just, you know, 8 hours a week, roughly, not 8 hours a day. So that's where I come down in all this, is I consider myself a YouTuber who streams everywhere. Yeah, well, that's why now I have not changed my politics to be on Twitch. I still say what I believe on Twitch. If they ban me, they ban me. But I thought my political viewpoints would be something that they would have to ban. Maybe that they don't promote, you know, and Twitch streamers on the rise talking about politics. No, they're going to, you know, what's his name? Hassan or somebody, you know, leftist lunatic. Yeah, I realize that. I'm not a complete fool. But I didn't think at the time, and hearing these people, what was coming out of their mouth and how they were presenting it, I thought they were speaking to me in English, but they were speaking to me in newspeak, in coded speak. That meant we're making it for the right type of people, you know, the transhumans that think they're half human, half deer. And if you don't think that that's appropriate for people to have that mental disorder, you shouldn't be on Twitch. Yeah. Makes you wonder why the establishment is so fearful of history. Yep, they are very fearful of history. Stop noticing things. No independent thought allowed. Yeah, absolutely. Now, I will admit that there are people that get on these platforms. Oh, you see, notice here, no outdated. See, if this happens to you, what you just do is click and then click to get rid of it, to get that. And so we're going to, because I knew it was the Emil. So what we're going to do is we're going to come up here. We've skipped the model. We'll see how bad of a hit in converting this over will be. Okay, we will do this because we're probably going to build the Emil for a long time. Okay, well, moderate hit. But we got it done. So now until sometime well into 1940 or 41, we will probably build the shit out of the Emil. And I may just keep building the Emil for quite a while. The E model, that's what it was colloquially called. And I might, if we start another 109, I might just start a new factory line. Well, we can upgrade our mountain artillery as well. Let's get to lighter, better mountain guns. So yeah, but I'm fighting for these spaces, whether it's Twitch or now Twitter is becoming much more free under Elon Musk, or YouTube. I'm not going to give up until they drive me off, until they ban me, until they, you know, kick me off. I'm not going to leave, even whatever their rules say. Well, okay, he's a term that they like to use, a successful grifter. Yeah, but the ideology that he spouts is a lunatic ideology. So if he believes what he says, then he's a lunatic, because what he says doesn't comport to the reality of humanity. So if you believe something that isn't real, that's a lunacy of a sort. So if he believes what he's spouting, truly believes it, then he's a lunatic. If he's just a grifter trying to sell it, then he's a successful businessman. So I don't know the reality of his thinking. Maybe he's just so ignorant he doesn't know any better. I don't know. But and I've only heard clips from him. I'm no expert on him. Okay, well, let's get these to going a little bit more. And yeah, okay, we're in January 39. I was going to say it's 39 is when I'm going to start looking at building some. Okay, let's. Now, really, quite honestly, people, you need to, because I'm encountering, decisions coming up here that I didn't know I was going to get eventually, shall we say. I did not know. 16 civilian factors or 40 days. Yeah, we'll do this. We'll increase the west wall. Sure, Twitter is definitely a lot better now. Crazy how, yeah, there's still, and I still think that we saw over the What is a Woman documentary and the stuff going on around it. And I was sort of watching just from home at a real time. The controversies over it. There's still saboteurs within Twitch. So some of what they're doing now is policy, but a bunch of the bad stuff they're doing now, I think, are still saboteurs. Whether it's saboteurs in the code or saboteurs because a couple of people resigned that day. Over it, and I don't, they don't speak onto did they get fired or did they, like Elon Musk said, no, we're going to show that. Well, if you do, I'll quit. Well, he says, quit. Okay, fine. Or whether he said, no, you said, because I think the people over at that were showing it, Matt Walsh and whoever were showing, were told that the decision to downgrade the thing from what was originally planned, however you want to say it, was more than shadow banned. I tried to retweet it. I tried to comment, tried to like it. It was no. Shadow banning is just not promoting it. This was more. That was going live. I was looking at this while it was happening. The people that did that said to Matt Walsh and crew, I don't know, Jeremy Boring or whoever, said that Elon Musk was in the room. And so don't like in the essence, you don't need to appeal this. Come to find out, I think he was in Asia at the time of this thing, and maybe even asleep at the time that the meeting was happening. So he wasn't in the room. So I think they lied. I think it may have been the woman who had a trust and safety at the time, or whatever it's called now. I think she lied. Well, I'm sure somebody lied, but I think it was her lying. And I think that maybe Elon Musk went, you said I was in the room. I wasn't there. You can't say that about me. If I'm not there, you can't use my name. You're fired. I mean, and that's firing for cause. Or maybe saying, well, I'll let you resign immediately, or you're fired for cause. That's no golden parachute or whatever. If you get fired for cause, and you could probably make that stick lying about my presence in a room, that would be that could be firing for cause at that level, at that CEO level, not some salesman that said, oh, Elon Musk approved it, some low level guy, somebody up high at that level saying Elon Musk is in the room, which means that he approves of this decision to do this thing. If you lie about that, and just lying about that could be enough that even if he agreed with the decision, you don't say that about me. And that would be for cause enough to get it without any compensation. So whether it was that or whether she just like, well, if you let this hang go this way, I'll quit, I'll resign. And he might say, okay, your resignation is accepted. And again, you don't get your parting gifts of, compensation out to whatever because you're quitting. And that's my understanding is she was allowed to resign, but whether he forced it or she quit, I don't know over that. So that's why I say saboteurs, and I'm not just being, Stalin or a Stalinist saying, oh, the factory isn't doing good enough, it's saboteurs. No, I think there's really literally saboteurs still in Twitter. And they got rid of 2 of them. And there was another little thing the other day that Elon Musk said, I'm looking into this, why the videos over the The knife stabbing incident in France were being blocked on Twitter. So he says, well, one of the things he replied, I'm looking into this because they were being shut down. So somebody, somewhere at Twitter, whether to please the French government or to please somebody else or just on their own, was shutting this down, and he did not seem happy about it. So he did not approve this. So that is somebody maybe thinking they're the right, they have the right job title to make that decision, but they're making something that apparently is not within policy that Elon Musk agrees with. So, so that's why I'm saying saboteurs. I think it's very real. And then I think there's still some policies that, whether Elon Musk likes them or not, he's willing to have them there to, because of government regulations in places. And so some of it may be policy that we don't like, and some of it is in, I think, saboteurs. If leftist version of World War II history was self-evidently true, there would be no need for censorship whatsoever. Absolutely. Many of the facts are covered up and others are fabricated. Did you bother with Navy? Can you throw some punches or just sub? Well, I did all of the previously, this is probably the reserve fleet, all the sort of started Navy stuff that was going on at the beginning of this mod. This mod has a lot of ships that are partway in production, some almost completed, some just maybe like 5 or 10% started. I completed all of those. We still have these 2 Scharnhorst class ships still producing out until April 1940. Once those are done, all the rest we're currently now is doing submarines. So, we did do some Navy. Well, we'll see, and you're right, it may be unnecessary about the West Wall, folk. What happens is, because they forbid you or squash or whatever about talking about World War II history and the truth of it, it then allows conspiracy people who want to say, the Holocaust didn't happen. Trust me, the Holocaust fucking happened. If you don't think it happened, you don't understand history. It happened. The Nazis wanted it to happen. They didn't want to maybe tell everybody about it, but they wanted it to happen. It happened. So you get these nut jobs, again, I'll call them, because whether they believe it didn't happen or whether they just don't want other people to believe it happened, whatever the case is, saying that, the Holocaust didn't happen. It happened. But so once you get people covering some things up, then you get other things, they start believing other wild theories, shall we say. So that's, once people learn, this is, goes back to, because again, people, I'm old. Way back in the day, they used to, oh, hey, when I was going to school, and even worse before I was going to school, if you smoke marijuana, you're going to get all kinds of blah, 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 blah. And people would smoke marijuana and go, no, I'm not looking to take heroin now that I smoke some joints once in a while. And I'm not going to get into, some people say, oh, marijuana is less bad for you than alcohol. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I don't know the medical effects. I'm not going there. I'm not talking about what is worse or what is bad for you. But marijuana ain't taking a bunch of heroin. It doesn't necessarily lead to taking a bunch of heroin. It doesn't, taking a bunch of heroin leads to taking more heroin. I mean, it's an addiction. True, that's what it does. But so people got these, scare tactics over marijuana and then tried it. And then they start thinking, well, hey, they lied about marijuana. It ain't really what, it's maybe, may not be healthy for me, but I don't care. Oh, well, let's try this heroin. They lied about pot. They're probably lying about heroin. So, once you lose the trust, you try to make everything out to be equally bad, then people will start not trusting you about other things. So that is another important thing that history should teach governments. Okay. I just close that because I want to make sure. Oh, we need to come here. We need to click. Oh, no, we don't need to click. What is this? F model. Okay. Why can't I click F model? Oh, I got to get a better gun. That does make sense. Okay. Got to get the better gun. We'll do research on that very soon. So yeah, people are, I would say, my observation is in the Western world, France and Britain announce an alliance. That would be a new formal one, and no Churchill nor, you know, that was a picture of Churchill and de Gaulle. Charles de Gaulle. Yeah, I know who I'm talking about. Just for some reason, proper names blanked on me for a while. I don't like lying when we're talking about history. I want the truth out. And I do know that this is just a mod. Okay. But to me, what that popped up on that window was a lie. It was a complete lie. Because Churchill and de Gaulle did not form an alliance. Churchill was out of the government in 1939, in January 1939. He was, a member of parliament, but he was not in the government. He did not hold a position. De Gaulle was in 1939, in January 1939, he was an embarrassment to the army. That would be a good way as a general. He was an embarrassment to the army. The army was very, very worried about de Gaulle. He wrote a book towards the approximate English translation or whatever is towards a professional army, which talks about motorized divisions and this. And this just was so effing controversial at the time. The politicians just went crazy over this because the politicians are afraid of a professional army for France. They are afraid of professional officers, and they're afraid of professional units because there are professional long-term service units. What they want is a mass conscription army made up that reflects France. And so it's a generally left-wing government. They fear a military coup. And so they want is an army that is a mass conscription army, not a professional, a guy, not a bunch of people whose career is going to be the soldier. They want people, they go in the army for 2 years or a year or whatever it is, and then they go work in a factory. So that and then they can be called up as reserves after that, and maybe have to keep training as reserves. They don't want a professional army. So had he named it wasn't anything really in his book that my understanding was the problem. It was the title. And that really gets him into hot water. And so he is, I forget exactly what happens to him, but he's sort of shuffled aside and hidden in a dark room somewhere, kind of thing. Don't make any more statements. Don't go out there. Now eventually they move him as like deputy defense secretary in Pétain's government, and he's given the first tank division formed in the French army. Yes, he does come, even before the fall of France, but as France is falling, does sort of come back into a prominent position. But in 1939, in January 1939, he's sort of, like I say, an embarrassment because of this thing. So to me, lying is not just what's in the text. It's showing images. It's all the time when I see a news reporter, all these tanks are moving towards the capital. Those aren't tanks. Those are armored personnel carriers. Yeah, they have tracks. Yes, they have some sort of, gun on them, but they're armored personnel carriers. And the reporter may or may not know the difference, but he presumes the audience doesn't or doesn't matter, or wants to be sensationalizing tanks, where if they said, armored personnel carriers are moving towards the capital, they're showing it. Now, maybe there were also some tanks there, but they didn't film it or whatever. Whatnot. Or when I see documentaries that talk about something, the invasion of France, in 1940, and they show a Panther tank driving by. To me, that's lying to me. Yes, all the words coming at them, either printed on the screen or being said on the TV program about the invasion of France may be correct, but you're lying to me in the image. show me real images from the invasion of 1940, because that is part of this is a multi-track communication system. This is why, for when again, I know I've been harping a lot today on my mod that I made because this is reminding me a lot of it. Every single image, as far as I could, was either a real image from the time period, so that a photograph from the time period, or a modern photo of an old thing, like a modern photo of a Panzer One. So it's a modern color photo, but it looks like a Panzer One, and it's done it's done right. So if I'm talking about Panzer One, it's a Panzer One, modern photo. Or it is something that is clearly, because some of the style, clearly a modern computer graphic, just sort of a design graphic kind of thing that may have like a the German Army eagle with the swastika below it, kind of thing superimposed over it. You can tell it's a modern computer generated graphic that's making the picture look prettier, but it's the appropriate German eagle for the army with the appropriate symbols on it. It isn't the Navy eagle or the Luftwaffe eagle. I didn't, if I was talking about the Hermann Goering division, I would use the Luftwaffe, sort of more flying eagle as opposed to the eagle with its wings spread. So I very much, now when I do thumbnails are like book covers. They're to attract you to click on that image. So I've lessened my standards for thumbnails. But for my mod, because of the educational purposes, it was the image that was used was part of the actual communication of it. It was the image and the text, the title and the text. And then doing my best guess, if you will, educated as however much you think I'm educated about the subject, whatever subject in World War II that the event was about, was my best guess for a game effect. And that's obviously reverse engineering and sort of figuring things out. So I know I'm wrong, but should it improve relations by 5% or 6% or 10%? I don't know. I'm going to pick one and go with it because whatever. And so it's reverse engineering. I'm probably wrong, whether, on the game effect, big wrong or little wrong, I don't know, but I'm trying my best, and we can only try our best. So to me, whenever you see images like that, and I know it's a mod, but how hard is it to get like two pictures, one of Chamberlain and Daladier, I don't know, who the French premier at the time was. Get those two pictures, and even if you don't have them in the same room in the same photo, couldn't you just quickly grab, Google that, get the two names, do Google search, take two distinct pictures, and just put them next to each other, of the two guys. Or if you can find a picture of the signing ceremony or something, how with Photoshop open, even just a simple, two Google searches, Churchill, or not, or, Chamberlain, you just get like a stock photo because he's dead by 41 or whatever. Chamberlain is dying of cancer. When he is dying of cancer when Churchill takes over. Now he stays in the government. He stays working until he literally can't work. I mean, he has a special little bunker place built for him at the PM's office, sort of outdoor, that he can go when he can't do anything anymore and go lay down. But he is literally dying of cancer and continuing to do his best, helping Churchill fight that war. And that's part of the reason he resigns is because of the cancer. I mean, that's not publicly known at the time. But so any sort of early war or, so it doesn't necessarily mean a picture on that day or anything, but a reasonable representative of the, the two people or something like that, that wouldn't be lying in the image. And it just takes, less than 2 or 3 minutes to quickly generate that image, even if you're just doing it crudely. And you're not doing that. It's one of my pet peeves. I know it is, but still, it's mine. Recently saw a YouTube video about how the Allies used balloon inflating decoys before D-Day. Okay, yeah, they used lots of balloons for different things, and not exactly decoys, but a lot of what they used balloons for was to hold the wire really high up into the sky. And they'd place them over places like London, so if you flew too low, you might run into the wire and cut your wing off or other sort of damage to your aircraft to make you crash. I know that was used, including on D-Day. But maybe they did it also as a decoy, convincing that they may be attacking somewhere else. But they flew a lot of them over a lot of the ships just so that the Luftwaffe couldn't do or would make it more difficult, shall we say, to do low passes over the ships. So not just as a decoy, but I didn't see that. Okay, painting history as black and white also doesn't help. Yeah, and this is one thing we're sort of learning, or I already know, but a lot of people in the West are learning that, particularly the remnants of World War II is still going on in Eastern Europe, and because of communism, because of things, some Nazi type symbology, particularly in Ukraine, is showing up more than it should, and they just see it as sort of some of them are, I believe, hardcore Nazi types. Strange, but they are. I don't know. Others are just sort of like it's sort of shit posting kind of thing, or spicy images or something kind of thing as they're sort of taking it, but it really in the West is just coming off really bad. But yeah, I do know that there's still lots of remnants, and to the way I look at it is the war on the Eastern Front, it was bad guys fighting bad guys. They're just no good guys. Just no good guys. And I'm not talking about the individual person. I'm talking about the sides. There aren't no good guys. There aren't no bad guys. They're all bad guys. There's no good guys. They're all bad guys. They're all bad. Not necessarily all equally bad, but they're all bad. They're just fighting each other. French government was extremely paranoid about their army doing it. Yeah, against their government, absolutely pickle. That's part of it. But that's my understanding. And again, I cover some of that in my mod. That, and I was sort of surprised to find out about that. But just simply the title, Towards a Professional Army, or it's a French words, but very similar to that. You're right. There is abundance of documentation in this area. Oversights like that are and it just, but like the photos, it isn't that hard. And this is also, I have a problem with not just Black Ice, but with Hearts of Iron being lazy about some of this stuff. Now, some of it is that they say we're going to go to the portrait style painting for all of these things, which then of course doing that makes it harder to takes time to do I not have? Okay. Okay. We have just these two guys. He was probably promoted up by Austria, Karl Egsler, however you pronounce this. Egsler? I don't know. And he doesn't exist. Hickman is a fictitious thing. I refuse to use those. I'll either promote some real historical people up, or there'll be an event, and then I'll organize it up. But yeah, so I mean, finding the photos like that, and that's one of the reasons why I still prefer using real images. But yeah, where? Okay, this. Get here. This is a real image from the. This is the image from here and here from Hearts of Iron. And look, I know a company is there for profit, and I've later found out that they have quote unquote limited time with artists, different projects. But I pointed out to them, and this is technically still under NDA, but they're not going to come after me for this. I pointed out to them that this is all wrong. That none of this gold on here or here should exist. It should all be sort of metallic silver. And I also pointed out it's mostly wrong on all the and that shouldn't be gold at all there. That's a Black Ice image. They should do better colorization jobs. There's no gold. But mostly the German Eagles and whatnot are silver on a lot of these. Yes, some of them are gold. So sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong. But it's always wrong on the Waffen SS. And didn't change it. I pointed it out to them. Again, the sole shoulder boards, nope. It's all should be silver. Maybe he's way up here. Is he here yet? I'm sort of proud of this if I can find it here. No, it isn't there. Here, this is Walter Kruger. This was actually a fairly late addition to. It was before release, but it was late edition. I'm responsible for this because they made it to my because this was made after I said you got to fix these things. They did make this one right in that it's all metallic gray. It's all a metallic gray, all their additional Waffen-SS stuff. So that one they did right because it was after I pointed it out to them. I wanted to be a uniform collector and whatnot. So this is another pet peeve of mine, but it's things like that. So like this should not be gold here. This is pretty correct, but for the Waffen-SS, and some of the stuff depends on the general, and there's various sort of arcane, and they had certain leeways about the hats, and sometimes they were wearing hats a bit junior to their actual positions. But yeah, another thing that is wrong here, this is wrong here. He's wearing a field gray. Oh, and I also got them to make sure that they were doing, more gray uniforms for the Waffen-SS and not the field gray. I actually supplied them with, color photo, because there are color photographs of the people, including Rommel, around. That should not be that. You do not wear a Pour le Mérite, that's the World War I, or the Knight's Cross with an open collar, unless it's the desert uniform. So this should be a desert tan, and the collar should be closed like here. Or it should be open, and this should be the desert tan. So and that's why I don't know. I just don't know on the Luftwaffe uniforms. I think maybe that's correct for the Luftwaffe uniforms, and that it's open. But again, this would be either a more desert one, or it should be closed up. Because it's just sort of the formality of the German army for that. It's worn with a closed collar, where if you don't have one of those things, one of those medals, you could wear your collar open. But again, that was supposed to be for the desert campaign and only there. So yeah, that's sort of that I know is trivial compared to other things, compared to the photograph of Churchill and de Gaulle together. That's more important. But I do think it's important because that you don't need any field marshals in 39. You can promote a block leap with a decision. Okay, very good, folk. Good to know. I'm sort of hoping for something like that. They should have stuck with non-colorized photos. Yeah, they went with this. Well, one, I don't think they thought there were going to be that many photos images needed for them. I think there was I think it was a again, some of the, I am under an NDA, and anything I think is really strategic. And it was mostly at the time under the NDA was that I wouldn't leak things prior to release. But technically, and as the guy who was in charge of the project, who's still with Slytherin, but gone on to other things, not Podcat, but the guy above him, said, well, mainly, I guess they're all technically still technically, he says they're all still going on, the NDAs, but it's just more about our methods of operation we're worried about people talking about. So I don't talk about that stuff. But, it was really at the time, it was so that I'm not leaking details about Hoi 4 before it was whatever become released, because whether it's going to change or not, but they also wanted to be the one to put the stuff out there to make sure that it didn't get the wrong impression, which it often did still, or just present it to hype it up when they were ready to hype up something, you know. So I totally understand that. That is not a question on my mind. But so I'm not worried about too much of little details like that I'm saying that I was particularly involved with in the decision making of this game. But I think part of it was is they wanted to make it more modern, you know, the game for more modern audiences. You know, it's like a lot of people I find that won't watch black and white movies. Now, I don't watch silent movies. I love old black and whites. I won't watch silents because I keep falling asleep during them, you know, any sort of real movie. I've tried to watch a few, but I literally fall asleep. So it's not that I hate them. It's just can't really watch them, but I love black and white. So whether it's modern audiences expecting color, but also I think it was to look more like Vicky, EU, and Crusader Kings. I think because this game, more so because Hearts of Iron 3 sticks out from those other three franchises as being different. They really tried to make Hearts of Iron 4 for the Vicky, EU, and Crusader Kings audience. And so they really tried to, and since obviously there's not photos of, you know, Harold Godwinson or somebody from the Middle Ages, let's just do stylized images. And so do that recognizably with historical figures and put them into the game, is what they decide to do as well. I think it's those two factors come into their decision. I wouldn't be terribly upset with a mixture of colorized and non-colorized if you can't get it, but that's just me. I don't have that big of a problem with it. There's an Stahlhelm that would have been silly to use. Yes, I've seen a few pictures of Rommel in a Stahlhelm, and one was at some parade or ceremony, I believe. Another one is something I think around crossing the this river here. The we're crossing Amsterdam, but the Meuse, crossing the Meuse or something like that. That he had a Stahlhelm on. In the field. Yeah, that would have been silly. Traditional films tend to be better, like the originals, All Quiet on the Western Front. Well, Elizabeth, well, let me grab this here, because it's not there. Click here. Where is it? Invite people. Click here. Copy. And what I'm going to do is come over, Alt-Tab, over to here. If you're interested, you could join our Discord server. We may start it up again someday. It was on Fridays, sort of early afternoon for me, sort of early evenings for Europe. On Fridays, we had movie nights in which we'd stream a movie. And one of the movies, well, we did both we did two of the three All's Quiet on the Western Front. First the original, and then the most recent one out. There is another one that's made in between them, another color version of it. But yes, the Muse. Thanks, folks. I get there eventually, sometimes on my own. But thank you for always. If you know what I'm trying to think of, put that name up because it'll trigger me better. So please keep doing that, folk. But yeah, you can check out our Discord server. So sometimes we may get back to doing that, whether on Fridays or not, I don't know. But talk about movies like that and whatnot. So I think right now, yep, let's end this for